Welcome to the Hard-Won Wisdom Podcast with best-selling author Fawn and corporate innovator Michelle Brigman. Come here weekly for career and life-changing conversations with some of today's most influential thought leaders, senior executives, and trailblazers who will share their mentoring wisdom. This podcast is brought to you by the Women's Leadership Network.
Hi, I'm Fawn.
And I'm Michelle Brigman.
And this is a really special episode of the Hard-Won Wisdom Podcast. First, it's so good to see my friend. And I come to you from Jackson, Wyoming, where I'm in the Tetons. It's kind of bright behind me, but you can see mountains everywhere at my friend Carolyn's house. And hi, honey.
I don't even know what you just said. Tell me about your hair. It's short. I don't even know. I don't even know what you just said to me. I was not expecting you to cut your hair again. And tell me all about these things.
Cut it all off. Well,
is it awesome? And for this trip?
I just did it this afternoon. So,
okay, wait. You did it?
No, I went to my friend's husband's barber.
Okay, so you had a special.
Yeah, all I wanted was a trim. Because, I had gone short. I'm trying to see what my hair looks like without color on it. And it's getting ridiculous. There's this huge skunk patch in the middle. And so I thought, well, if I go really short, it's not going to be as obvious. So I just wanted somebody to cut it. And I kind of like it. It's really
cute.
Short. It's not going to be
so freaking hot. It's got to be so easy on the strip. Oh my gosh.
Yeah. I know. So that's great. That's
I'm
new.
Sorry. I had to go there because the third member of our, podcast is your hair. It has its own.
Yeah. I've followed that a few hundred times, but no, it's like of all the things that have happened in the last month, that's just not a big one. How's your month been?
It's been a crazy month. I think I'm finally finding my footing here. Got some clients I'm working with, some corporate clients, doing some consulting, and I'm having a blast. I'm having a blast. I'm learning all kinds of new stuff. I'm all over the new technology, and I'm learning how to, all these things that I've been curious about, and I just didn't have time to go do. I'm creating new stuff and learning, and I love it.
This is a really creative time for me too, but different.
Totally different.
I can't stop writing. And I was planning on making all kinds of motivational videos when I got on the road. And so much has been happening in my soul. I just don't feel like doing it. I love posting my pictures on Facebook and I love taking pictures. So that's really fun. But this has been the most unbelievable growth experience, and I'm a month in. I don't know how that happened so fast.
Congratulations. It's a big deal. It was a huge change for you it was exciting, but it was also a little bit daunting whenever you were thinking about it and getting kind of caught up in the process, the logistics, the commitments. And now it's funny to see you in it because a lot of that stuff you were so kind of swirling around. It's just not how it's working out. It's unlike what you expected and even better.
Honestly, I think most of us hesitate on big things. And I know even though I'm a very adventurous, self-sufficient, I can do things alone. I do things alone. But in my brain, I kept thinking it was going to be so much harder and more difficult. And for those of you who don't know what I did, I got a van and I'm seeing the country. And it's just me and my dog. But I have a lot of friends. Let's not act like I've been alone. I'm rarely alone. But everything that I had feared, it just seems like that's so far away. And that the ability to just pack up and live was something that was so much easier than it seemed as I was trying to set it up and process it. And do it. And for reference, the thing that finally pushed me over the top was that earlier this year, I lost 5 friends who were all under the age of 70. So like 58, 59, 63, 65, and 67. These are people who were healthy and then they weren't. And then the one that was 67, she was in Dunedin where I live. She was our local rock star and so full of life and just a touchstone to everyone. And I just kept thinking, oh my God, Wendy's gone, and how we don't know what's coming. And I just thought, I'm going to do this. I'm going to do it right now. And then this week, I have found that one of my very close friends has 2 forms of cancer. And my friend's dog's here. Hi, Bernie. Hi, Bernie. Yes, thank you for visiting me. And so she has 2 forms of cancer. And then another friend of mine that was 64 years old died. She just, and she died June 4th. None of us knew this. She had a spell where she just wasn't feeling good, and she finally got diagnosed with liver cancer, and 10 days later was gone.
Unbelievable.
And the significant thing about that was that several years ago, she just said, I'm going to retire early. She got herself an Airstream trailer and she went and saw the country. And then the other one is someone who's also young, a friend who is in the hospital and right now not conscious and is, fighting for her life. As depressing as all of that sounds, that is a call to action to every one of us. Yeah. Because if there's something you're delaying, don't wait. Don't wait. My life right now, it has no stress. I write. I'm working on a book. I write every day. That's fun. But I wake up in the morning and I just live a great day. And I have my crazy dog with me. And we go have fun every day. And then I process where I am in my life and what it means. And this is a much bigger gift to myself than I ever envisioned. And I think you're kind of in the same spot, doing something really different. I mean, you're really killing it, laying the groundwork for, this next phase of your life, your coaching business, your consulting, all of that stuff is coming together. And you just feel so alive.
Yes.
Doing that. And it really, people, whether your call is to go see the country in a van or go to Africa or do that, or to finally bet on yourself and be an entrepreneur and say, I'm smart enough to pull this off. You got 2 of us right here that just dove into all of that change and have had this rebirth. I have never heard Michelle so happy, and it's never more obvious because she'd had that job that made her so miserable that she quit. And so it's so clear how that's changed. And if you're holding back, I have to say why. I have to ask you, why? What are you afraid of? Like if it's the business thing, sometimes you try something and it doesn't work. And the worst thing that happens is you go and do something like what you were doing before. You're not going to eat out of a garbage pail. And, oh gosh, what's been really interesting, and you saw this because my first big stop on my trip was, of course, to Dallas, where I was going to see Michelle and my gang, and seeing people who are in that, late 50s, early 60s, transition into pre-retirement or retirement, talking about their identity struggles. And that has been fascinating to me because they don't know who they are without their job. So that's another thing I'm exploring in my book. And if that's you, take a minute and do something different for yourself. you're going to learn. All right, I'm shut up because I've been talking.
Well, I mean, that was a lot. You had a lot of really great, thoughtful points. And number one, I think about, let's just go with the thing that you mentioned. And, I've been sharing this with you where I see these women transition and what they start turning to these vices, right? They don't know what they're doing with themselves. So they start drinking more. They're like, it's never a healthy supplement for what they were doing. But, you have to just really, I think the thing I've learned, and even meeting with clients or meeting with friends, is if it would have been a work problem, they know exactly how to go tackle it. It's a problem. I need to go solve it. And all of those critical thinking skills come into play. But as soon as it is them, because they have never, ever put themselves as a priority, they were always the afterthought. So that's what I ended up doing several years ago, is I said, well, hell, I'm kind of smart and I'm good at this. I'm going to treat myself like the project. And that was a huge turning point for me, because as soon as I say that, there's some women that hear this and they're going to go, oh, wait, like I actually know how to apply some action steps, or I need to analyze the problem, or I need to figure out what, they immediately can at least figure out maybe how to get unstuck from that. And if that's what you have to say to yourself, then you're the next big thing to solve. And it's not that you're broken. It's the fact that you're just stuck and you're in this stagnant place, just like your business sometimes isn't growing. Revenue's not coming in. What did you do at work whenever that happened? You started asking questions and you started reflecting. And I think that is a very tangible, practical thing that might hit a few people in a new way to get them out of that just depression and ambiguity and confusion, and kind of just it's an ugly place.
Well, another thing about the vices, I'm laughing about that because spending so much time with my friends, everybody wants to go out. We're not eating healthy. I'm hiking, I'm exercising, but let's just say I'm a little fluffy around the middle right now, fluffier than I want. And then I woke up this morning, I'm like, God, that doesn't feel good. And then I just thought, Lori is dead. I have a beautiful day. I can either pollute it with, picking on myself, or just have a beautiful day. And I think we have to not only, project manage ourselves, use those skills like you're talking about, but we have to lighten up too and realize that our identity is not composed of just a skill set that was useful in business.
I just think those are words that are so foreign to some people in that place. Like, they're not there yet. They have to start with the familiar terminology, start with the familiar tactics, because otherwise those things feel a bit like words that I hear you, but I don't really know how to behave that way because that's not what I'm accustomed to. Does that make sense?
Well, I mean, if we're talking self-care and self-identity, your soul identity is I think something that comes through experience and both pain and joy, but not so much plotting out, here's how I'm going to develop my identity, right? Your identity is the result of doing things that fulfill you. And so maybe just that I'm different. I just see people who are stuck because they just tell themselves they can't try other things and do things. I mean, how many people see what I'm doing? How many Facebook posts have I seen? People responding to my my photos and saying, I can't believe you're a woman doing that by yourself. And, in terms of identity and the things you do by yourself, it's not about getting in a van and doing that. It's about not being afraid to be alone, right? So I'm not afraid to travel and do that by myself. But how many people stay in really crappy relationships because they also think it's something they can't handle on their own when they can? And I'm just saying, at this point in life, watching people who are dying young, like, forget that and just do the things that are going to grow you in different ways and be a little fearless.
Yep. I mean, you hit a great point with your soul is defined and created based on the things that you do and experiences you've had. And I think for just so many women, back to this point, they haven't had those experiences that were about who they are and finding joy because they were too busy giving it away to the work. So that's why now it's like I'm at a loss, because now that I'm not giving it away to work, I don't even know how to do that with myself.
Right. Or give it away too.
Yes. So being able to the whole point is like what you're doing right now, what I'm doing is just do something, but do something that is moving you forward, not trying to compensate for a loss. Move into something that you're curious about. Move into something that's growth, that's joyful, not trying to hide or mask where you're hurting. Because those are the best choices.
Don't be afraid to do that which scares you, because it rarely plays out in the worst case scenario. I really, before I left, I thought there were going to be all these gunmen like trying to break into my van. And remember, I was having that big debate on whether I was going to take a gun, like how was I going to protect myself? And I got trained on how to shoot a gun, and I really worked through that process. And for me, that wasn't something I ultimately thought was going to work for myself. I don't judge it. It's just, I didn't think that was how I wanted to do it. And it just doesn't feel like there's this big threat out there.
Yeah.
And I feel safe, got certain means of protection and my dog. But these things that seem so big in our brains, like the things that could go wrong, often don't exist. And what?
I was just agreeing with you. Yep, they don't. They don't exist.
And I see women who are afraid now at this point that their significant other, something's going to happen to that person, so they're going to be alone. Ladies, we are strong enough to handle that and anything else. And it's made easier by the connection and tribe you have with other women, right? When something goes wrong, know who your key people are that are going to buoy you up, so that when you're in your discomfort zone, you've got your team. And gosh, Michelle, remember last year when, I'd had that cycling accident and I was getting really scary reports from doctors, and it sounded like I was going to be, drooling in a nursing home. And I had to figure out how I was going to navigate that. And I knew my friend Rosemary was going to really, be great dealing with doctors, and like, how am I going to manage the finances and the insurance? I knew Michelle was going to be the one to steer the team, because that's her strength. And really look in your people as you try different things in your life and figure out who is going to help you drive the bus through these new things. And it's actually, so I'm doing that on this. I mean, I look at my phone, and of course I'm an iPhone person, and so Michelle can't enjoy this, but you've got the Find My Phone thing, right?
Yay, Android.
Yeah, well, look at all these people who know exactly where I am, right? All these people want to know where I am. They can see on the map that I'm in Jackson Hole, right? Right here.
I don't even track my kids.
Right. They can see me driving down the road. I told them I'll give anybody access right now. The minute I get home, it gets turned off.
You're done.
But it's that, how they used to say it takes a village. Find your village, right? I know that people are watching out for me and making sure I'm okay. And I talk to people all the time. And
don't wait to find your village. I mean, yesterday, as a matter of fact, I was talking to, I'll say, very young entrepreneur. She's got an incredibly already successful business, cool product. And anyway, in the conversation, I'm like, what's your support system look like? And it was the waiting. It was like, oh, well, it was still that I'm trying to do this all on my own and I don't have time for that. And we just sort of sat there unpacking like, no, this is really important and you can't neglect it. And I don't care if you're an entrepreneur. I don't care if you're in corporate. I don't care if you're, whatever you're doing, you have to have your tribe. You have to have your tribe. And you are shooting yourself in the foot if you are neglecting forming those relationships.
Oh, I have some interesting learning in that department because, on my trip, I had the people I contacted that I wanted to see. And then there were a lot of people that I have not seen in, 26, I moved away from Colorado 26 years ago. And they were just, when I'd come into town, I'd have 2 days in Denver and I'd see my same 4 people and then I'd hit the mountains, right? Well, there was this whole other group of people, some of whom I left behind and thought, we were Facebook friends, but I didn't think they cared about me or that they liked me all that much. And when they saw that I was coming and I was going to have some time in town, everybody wanted to see me. People I think that I didn't even think liked me, right? Yeah. And then I find out they did like me.
Isn't that funny, the lies we tell ourselves about that?
It's, I think mine, it was all wrapped up. Remember, I had that boss hole.
Yeah.
By the time I left.
How can I forget it?
Right. And by the time I left that job, I just felt like, let's close that chapter. That was all ugly. Because, I had some friends who were not good friends to me in that process. But there were also a lot of people that I didn't realize really considered me a friend. And I had some beautiful moments with people that I have not had any contact with other than a Facebook like 26 years that I now want to see and spend time with and
love it.
So as people think about their tribes, really think about your tribe, because there may be people that you're excluding that want to be included. That has been a huge gift to me. It's like, oh my God. But of course, now I don't know what to do when I come back to Denver for 2 days, right?
Uh-oh. You just need to say, I'm at this restaurant. If you can come in, show up. But
the thing that happened was that I was there so long, almost in every case, I had 2 or 3 hours with everybody.
That's awesome.
And so these intense conversations to catch up, beautiful conversations. So I also learned the power of just reconnecting and seeing people. And I've seen people on this trip, some that I hadn't seen in 35 years. And then, you look at people after that long and you're looking at them and like, damn, you look old. And I'm thinking, oh, they're looking at me saying, yeah, you really.
It's funny how you picture them. I think about my high school, like I haven't seen some, and I'm like, you still look like you do when you were 18 years old. And I know when I run into them, it gets me like, okay, wait, like you'll still be that.
Right. Some of them, but not many. And it is a fascinating thing to see them, but then to really close that loop and find out what happened and what their challenges were. And, the one thing about me, Michelle, is I'm really not very full of myself. So if I've had a problem with something, I'm open. I'll tell everybody just about everything. And so to have these no bullshit conversations where people are talking about, relationships, careers, finances, whatever, and being honest. Oh, that's amazing. That is amazing. So to our listeners, your tribe is probably much bigger than you know. And so even if you're not going to go, spend a week where you can see everybody. And that's what I was doing, is I was seeing multiple people in a day. But if you're not doing that, set up some Zoom calls.
I do that.
Just reconnect with people that aren't in your normal sphere. And wow, I'm telling you, I have had a blast with that. And that was hard for me because we know I'm a little bit of an introvert. So I like my quiet time. And there was a lot of conversation, but it helped me to understand what I was doing here. And I'll tell you what else was neat, was being in Denver. I was not an author and professional speaker in Denver. I was an investigative reporter. And those people only knew me as a journalist. And I love seeing people who only knew me, because that was a really big part of my life. It was huge. And then I went on to something else that was huge. And people don't know that there was this really meaningful thing that I experienced, but they were there, right? And, they saw when I worked with that boss hole. They knew all these other people and all the other players in the story. So that has been great. And that's a good thing for everybody, is just reconnect, close the loop. Don't assume that you've got people who don't like you, because they might even love you, right? Wow. What a gift that is. So that's been so powerful, Michelle. I'm not going to have time to talk to you anymore.
Well, there, I see that. Well, there you go.
I got my other friends now.
So, okay, I have totally taken this on a different note, but I had something I wanted to share with you. All right. I'm not sure how much you've been on, I don't know, Twitter or whatever, but anyway, so there was this news story that came out.
Michelle?
Yeah, well, I know you've been busy. I don't know. You surprised me in all the stuff you pay attention to. So there was this news story that came out, and it's gotten a bunch of traffic on comments from, people's opinions. But there was this woman who was on a plane, and she was asked, or basically she wouldn't give up her seat to a mom and two kids of like 11 and 15. Okay. So lots of traction. Well, but I had to share, like, that was cracking me up listening to this story. She's like, if it would have been an, equivalent seat, I would have given it up, but it wasn't. It was they were wanting to trade me a middle seat, and these kids were older, and it was just the mom was just going to be one row behind them, so it wasn't like across the plane leaving your 2-year-old. But anyway, I have to share with our listeners that Fawn and I had been talking about just saying no, because I'm the little Southern girl, and I get myself backed in a corner where I agree to stuff that I don't really want to agree with. So I was flying to see Fawn a month and a half ago. I was so excited because I was on the plane. So I have my similar story to this. I was on the plane, and this young couple, I have a window seat, my preference. So I'm sitting on the plane, and this young couple comes up, and they're like, no kids, just the couple. And they're like, would you let it, we want to sit together. Our seats are real far apart. Would you let us sit together? And I'm like, is it a window seat? And the lady says, yeah. So I grab up all my stuff. And I had already claimed my space. Like, I had unpacked, I had my tablet, I had unpacked. So I gather up all my stuff, and I'm just about to exit the aisle, and I say, now tell me again what that seat number is. And it was a middle seat. And I stood there and I went, no, you know what? You said it was going to be a window seat, and it's not. And so no, I'm going to keep my seat. Maybe somebody else will switch with you. And I sat there, and I was so freaking proud of myself. They were completely annoyed with me. They found someone else, and under the breath, they're like, that other lady wouldn't switch or whatever. And the whole time I'm like, I don't care that you're not mad. You're mad at me. I do not care. because I wanted this seat and I didn't want to move it. And I would have sat there and agreed. And I just went, no, I don't want to do this. And I'm just saying no. And I could hear you going, no is a, complete sentence, right? I don't have to say anything else. So anyway, that story cracked me up. And I was like, I have to ask you if you've read it because it's gotten a whole lot of.
No, but I love it. Because remember that time, I'm not going to expose my friend who this happened to, but if you all knew her, you say, yeah, we could see that happen. So somebody wanted her to move into a different seat so that the woman could be there with a baby. Okay. And she's not a big fan of screaming babies on airplanes. And she's like, no. And somebody else was going to split to do it with her. And she then went to the customer service person and said, you need to move me so I'm not anywhere near that baby. So they had to give her the bulkhead. And, it's not just that no is a complete sentence. And I'm damn proud of you about that one.
I was so proud of myself. I was like, God, I didn't even have guilt. I was like, I just felt good because that's actually what I wanted. I did what I wanted. And I didn't do what I thought somebody expected me to do to be a nice girl.
Well, my brother taught me something that's really very effective. And it's when somebody asks you something like that you don't want to do, you just look at them and you say, oh, I'm sorry, that won't be possible. And then turn away, right? Because they're too intimidated to say, well, why not? Yeah. Yes, that won't be possible.
Love it.
I love it. Yeah, that is. Yeah, I'm learning that even more because the more you say no, the easier it is to say no.
Mm-hmm. So it was like just honoring myself and not doing something that I don't want to do because so often I'm like, oh yeah, I'll do that, and I'm resent it, and I don't want that.
There are certain times I'll do that just so I can get points in heaven. But there comes a point where I have enough points for the year and I'm not going to do it anymore. So
it's funny I say yes to, but that was just a good. So anyway, so you say no, honor yourself, honor what you want, be honest. That hit on your being able to have those brutally honest conversations with your friends. Yeah. Well, sounds like you've just got lots of good stuff going on. I'm so excited for you.
Montana's next. I have one more day in the Tetons and then keep moving north. I'll wind up in Canada, come back down, be back in Wyoming, go to Yellowstone. It's really not about where. It's just about waking up and saying, what am I going to do with this beautiful day? And I got to Southwest Colorado and you just can't beat those mountains, even though the Tetons, they're prettier, I guess, but
that cool pointy shape on top.
Yeah, but that Southwest Colorado, it's not about where you are, it's about who you are and who you're with. And so I tell everybody, go have a fabulous summer, do some things that are going to stretch you. And how about everybody find something that you would like to do later on in your life and you just do it now?
Yes, do it now.
Well, how about
like dessert first?
Yeah, pick something. Like if you can't do the big thing, just do it in a smaller way. Because it is becoming so evident to me that life is a huge question mark, and we don't know who's going to win with the health game. And so instead of making yourself crazy with things you should do, or delaying things for later because that's what is the point.
There's a million excuses. It doesn't matter. You have something.
Take it up. Do what you need to do. Live your life like this is your last year, and do everything you can to have as much fun as you can. So we will see you down the road. Good to see you, Michelle, and everybody. We love you.
Enjoy something fabulous this summer. See you soon.
See ya.
Thank you for joining the Hard-Won Wisdom Podcast with best-selling author Fawn and corporate innovator Michelle Brigman. Join us weekly for career and life-changing conversations with some of today's most influential thought leaders, senior executives, and trailblazers who will share their mentoring wisdom. This podcast is brought to you by the Women's Leadership Network. Visit hardwonwisdom.com for more on this podcast and for links to Fawn and Michelle's web pages and social media. Also, be sure to rate, subscribe, and review wherever you listen to your podcasts. We really appreciate that effort, and we'll see you next week.